Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Mindful Knitter podcast. My name is Claire and I am your host today and every day of this podcast. So welcome. If you're new, thank you for coming to spend some time with me today and check me out. And welcome back if you're returning. If you are returning, I am so excited. This is only episode 2, so I probably have not gathered much of a following, but I'm very happy that you're here, whether you're returning or whether you are new. So just a little bit about the podcast. This is a primarily knitting podcast, as you could probably guess by the name, although I do cover or talk about other fiber related things, crafty things, artsy things, and then sometimes random things if they're interesting or interesting to me. And then there's also definitely a mindfulness component. So with every episode, I am planning to incorporate mindfulness in some way. So today I do have something planned for us later in the episode. So I hope you stick around for that. It will be kind of like a practice, like a way to practice mindfulness while you are knitting or crocheting or crafting or painting or whatever it is that you love to do. So a little bit more about me. I didn't really share last time much about me other than my history of knitting. So I do live in the southeast of the United States. Since I am new to YouTube, I'm still feel a little squirrely talking about where I live, just because I was taught to fear the internet, I guess. But I live in the southeast of the United States, and I live with my husband, Alex, our 2 Great Danes, Murphy and Nolly, and our very antisocial hamster, Crema. I've had many hamsters in my life, and I have never encountered one as antisocial as this one. There's actually a term for it that I found. He's called a ghost hamster. I came across this while Googling, why does my hamster hate me and everyone else? Why does he freeze when someone comes in the room? Why does he hide immediately? Why is he petrified of anybody coming near him? And why can I never, like half the time, I never even see him. I have to sneak up on him in order to see him. Because if he thinks there are people around, he'll just hide and he'll tunnel and he will completely hide. And it's called a ghost hamster, and they're called ghost hamsters because you're not really sure if they're there or not. You kind of question whether they're alive. You never see them. I actually got a little camera that has night vision. I call it my ham cam, and I use it to watch him because it's the only time I can ever see him do anything, is I have to spy on him with this night vision camera that I have set up so I can see in his enclosure. And he's very active. He has a big enclosure. Yeah, he's active, he's happy, but he hates people. That was a lot. So anyway, that's where I live, who I live with. And then a little other background with the mindfulness. I do incorporate a lot of mindfulness into my own life. I'm a yoga teacher. And then with my career job, not that being a yoga teacher isn't a job, but that's not my full-time job. For my full-time job, I do a lot of mind-body wellness, medicine, health stuff. So I do incorporate a lot of mindfulness into my personal and professional life, and that includes my knitting life. And then I wanted to correct a time frame. In my intro video last week, I said that I'd been knitting for like 8 or 9 years, I think, 9 or 10 years. I said I started knitting in high school. Apparently, I don't remember how old I am because that's not true. I think I started knitting in 2009 or 2010, so it's 2021 now. So I've been knitting a little bit longer than what I thought. I just apparently, once I graduate from high school, I lose track of time and how old I am. So yeah, I've been knitting for like over 10 years, more like 11 or 12-ish. So just a quick sort of like correction on that. Places you can find me are, of course, here. You found me on my channel, my new channel. But you can also find me on Instagram as the.mindfulknitter on Instagram. I would be delighted if you would check me out on Instagram, give me a follow. I would love it if you commented. We can chat on Instagram. It's a lot of fun. I'm kind of new to Instagram, but I've been really enjoying checking everybody's crafts out, following different yarn, like indie dyers, all sorts of stuff. Instagram's been pretty fun, so I've been enjoying it, and I'd love to hang out with you over on Instagram. And you can also find me on Ravelry, and my Ravelry handle is Mindful Knitter Pod. I wanted to put the Mindful Knitter, but it's already taken. And then other variations, there were too many characters. The name was too long. They wouldn't let me do it. So anyway, I changed it to Mindful Knitter Pod. And I will try to remember to put that information into the description. And I'll have that information in my description just on the channel as well, so you can find it that way. So don't panic, you don't have to remember it right now. But I'd love to hang out with you on Ravelry too. And I'm also thinking that I would like to start a new Ravelry group for this podcast so that we can do knit-alongs, make-alongs, share projects, maybe have like a chatter thread where you can ask me questions, or maybe you guys could respond to my questions that I pose to you with every episode. Basically just another way for us to hang out and talk. Like I said in my last video, I don't really have many people in my life who knit, so I don't really have people to hang out with and talk to about this. So that's kind of the reason one of the reasons I was making this podcast, is so I could hang out with other knitters. So yeah, that is that. So I guess I will get into what we're doing today. And by the description, you can tell today we are talking about socks, which I'm so excited about. And we have an unboxing. This actually got delivered to my house 30 minutes ago, and I'm so happy it arrived today because I was planning on filming today and I wanted to do an unboxing with you guys. So we will get into finished objects first, which is socks. Okay. These are my socks. I'm so pleased. There's also cobwebs. Apparently I need to clean. Whoops. Shoe cobweb. Okay. So I just started knitting socks 2 months ago, maybe about 2 months ago, maybe a little less. And I had been terrified of knitting socks. So I said in my intro that I've been knitting for, over a decade now, but I was a very chill knitter for the first 9-10 years. I basically just did garter stitch, and I used no patterns and no tutorials. I just kind of made things up as I went, and it was basically garter stitch. And then me just, like, if I wanted to knit a sweater, I knit a sweater earlier this year. It was the first sweater I ever knit, and I didn't use a pattern or anything or a tutorial. In my mind, I was thinking sweaters are basically a series of rectangles. Like, you have your long rectangle for your arm, one for each. You have like a rectangle for like the front and the back. So I just took my measurements and I kind of knitted to my measurements, and I stitched it, I seamed it all together, and I made a sweater. But anyway, so I've been terrified of socks, but I really wanted to knit them. But to knit a sock, I would probably need a pattern in order to make a comfortable sock. So long story short, I finally became brave enough to look up a YouTube tutorial. Crazy Sock Lady on YouTube. She has great tutorials. I used her vanilla sock or DPN's tutorial. And it was great. She was so easy to follow and understand. She has great pacing. Her video quality is great for being able to see what she's doing. So I highly recommend her tutorials. I think she does a great job. And I knit my first pair of socks on DPNs. Everybody told me to use magic loop. They were like, don't do DPNs, it's too many needles. And I was very scared of doing DPNs. But I was actually at a yarn shop in Pensacola, Florida this summer, and they just happened to have their knitting group meeting at that time, and ladies were knitting on DPNs. So I sat and chatted with them and asked them about their sock experience and stuff. And they kind of made me less scared of DPNs, which is why I went that route instead of the like magic loop or using circular needles. So that's kind of the brief version of my sock knitting story. I'll take you through my socks. These are all new finished objects. I'm missing a pair. How am I missing a pair? This is strange. Oh, it's because it's over there. I'll grab them right now so that I'm not like pausing in the middle. Stay there. I forgot to grab them. So fun idea on Instagram. This is different. You know, Inktober. So Inktober is kind of like an online community, fun way to do. I think it originally started as drawing, like that art medium, like sketching and things like that. I could be wrong though, so don't quote me. But it's kind of morphed into people will do Inktober for all kinds of arts and crafts. So what they do is there's like an official Inktober like prompt where they give you like a prompt for each day of the month of October, and you create art around that prompt. So for example, yesterday, October 1st, the prompt was crystal or crystals. And so it's just like a word every day, basically. So I thought it would be really fun to do Inktober this year. I've been wanting to do it for years, but I don't really draw. I'm very new to painting. I recently started doing watercolor, that sort of thing. But some of my friends will participate in Inktober by doing photography or creative writing or drawing or painting or graphic design, all kinds of cool stuff. So I was thinking, I want to do a yarn version of Inktober. I would love it if you guys join me for this. So I was photographing my first prompt for Inktober, crystal, and today I think is suit. So I will be photographing suit with yarn later today. And I'll be posting all that on Instagram. But let me know if you guys are interested. I might start a Ravelry group for it as well. And everybody can post their different yarny, knitty, crafty, whatever Inktober art each day. Or, you know, maybe you just do a mass upload, or maybe you participate here and there. I think it's really fun. So I guess instead of doing like a make along or a knit along, I'm doing an Inktober kind of thing. So I'd love for you to join me on that on Instagram or Ravelry. And again, I have in my description where you can find me on both Instagram and Ravelry. So a corrected pile. These are all my socks now that I've added my newest pair. So back to socks. These are the first pair of socks that I knit. It's a self-striping yarn. It is Unique, U-N-E-E-K, Unique sock yarn, and it's pretty soft. It's pretty soft, I'd say, and it was really very easy to work with. I really enjoyed it. I think that I would recommend for a first pair of socks, if you've never knit socks before, I would recommend doing a self-striping yarn like this, because it's very satisfying to see each section. I feel like you feel like you're making progress. I have heard other podcasters say before that self-striping yarn makes you, or knitting anything in stripes makes you feel like your project is just like flying off the needles. And I would say that was my experience with these. I followed Crazy Sock Lady's tutorial for deep vanilla socks and DPNs for these. I don't know if I'm bad at following instructions. She recommends using US 1 DPNs. I use US 2 because I have never knit anything at a gauge that small, and I was just scared. I've spent too much of my life scared of knitting. It's kind of like a new resolution for me, is I refuse to be scared of sticks and yarn anymore. That is like my new resolution. It's ridiculous. I feel like it's kept me from enjoying knitting for too long, at least enjoying it as much as I could. Anyway, so I use size US 2s, and I knit a size small. For my measurements, I should have knit a size medium, but I knit a size small since I sized up in my needles, and I knit at a very, very loose gauge because I was really worried that knitting a size small would be too small on my feet, even though I'd sized up for my needles. So I knit very loose. So you can kind of tell the size difference between my first sock and my second sock. Look at this nonsense. Both of these were knit on size 2 needles. But look how much longer this guy is. And he's wider too. And since blocking, he really doesn't have very many holes, but I've got like a hole like there, you can kind of see, where I didn't drop a stitch. No, I 100% dropped a stitch, and then I picked it back up right there. So the juggling of the 5 needles did take a minute. I did drop stitches in the first, like this part, like from here to here. And then after that, I really got the feel of 5 needles, and I could maneuver around them a lot better, and I stopped dropping stitches, and it wasn't a problem anymore. You also have the thing with knitting on DPNs, like your yarn kind of like rolls over a little bit, like on your project. And so that was unusual too for me, and I wasn't used to that. But again, after about there, I really got the hang of it, and it stopped being a problem. So, yeah, so this was her pattern. This sock was a lot better. My tension is a lot more even. I didn't have any dropped stitches on this one at all. There were no problems with this one. But these socks are huge. A size 2 needle for a fingering weight yarn was, I did knit a size small for the number of stitches cast on and everything, but these are not small socks. My husband could potentially wear these socks, and he wears like a size 12 and a half US men's shoe, so he does not have small feet. My husband is huge. His feet aren't huge, I guess, but my husband's a large human being, and yeah, he could probably wear these socks not uncomfortably. They'd be a little short for his feet, but anyway, these were really fun though. I had a lot of fun. I still love them. They're very cozy for just wearing around the house. I probably wouldn't wear them around to do housework, but lounging around the house, they're perfectly fine. And they're very nostalgic because these were my very first pair of socks and the first time I was brave with socks. So I love these guys. So first pair of socks, happy. So my second pair of socks are these puppies. And speaking of puppies, there's just, I washed all of these socks in preparation for this episode, but with 2 dogs, and we did have a cat, and the cat's fur still lingers around the house, even though our cat is now gone. Between the 2 dogs and me having quite a bit of hair, actually, there's just never gonna, it doesn't matter how much I wash these. Like, there's just always going to be some sort of fur, whether it's dog fur or human fur on them. I'm gonna use my sock blockers to kind of show you these guys. So this is my second pair of socks. And I really, really like these. These are still favorites for me. I don't have that many pairs of socks yet, but I still really, really love these. So these, I sized, well, the yarn. So this is Malabrigo sock yarn. I don't have the colorway. I had gotten this yarn several years ago and the tag was not on it anymore. So if somebody knows, if somebody can tell what color that is, please feel free to leave it in the comments below, your best guess, because I don't have the tag for it anymore, and I apologize for that. But Malabrigo is very soft and very lovely to work with, and is not badly priced at all. And they have beautiful colors. It really is a lovely yarn. I love Malabrigo. So Malabrigo, and then my toe cuffs and heels are Nanette Wake Studio yarns. I don't know what colorway this is in. This came in a set of minis for her monthly, like her monthly club. So I don't actually know the name of this one either. So I'm kind of useless in that regard today. But these are my second pair of socks. And they are lovely. I think they're lovely. I love the colors. They were super, super fun to knit. I don't like super long legs on my socks, just in general in life. I don't buy socks with long legs, so you can see like the pattern calls for like a longer leg, because this one I actually like followed the pattern just the way it's written, besides obviously my needle size, but I don't like them that long. So I'll still obviously wear these. Like I said, I do love these socks, but I'm not gonna knit, for me, socks with legs that long probably ever again, unless there's like a compelling reason to. So I switched up for the pattern. This was 30 rows. So I did 10 repeats, or 10 rows of this little cuff, and then I did 30 of the leg portion. So if you're gonna follow her tutorial and you like this length, that's how I changed those, the counts. I knitted these, and all of the rest of these have been knit on 1.5s, because again, I've been kind of a chicken about using size US 1s. I am currently knitting size 1, or using size 1s for the socks that I'm knitting at the moment for one of my whips, but I didn't really love the idea of these taking in my mind, I was like, it's gonna take me 1,000,000 years to knit these socks, and I'm using a size 1 needle. It's like knitting with toothpicks. But they didn't take that long. I can knit a pair of socks now in 2 days if I'm like consistently knitting them. So like it really doesn't take that long. So I feel less hesitant now that I've got my rhythm. I feel less hesitant to knit them on the appropriate size needle and in the appropriate size. So I knit these on size 1.5 needles, and I still did the small. So for reference, I wear a US size 8.5 shoe, women's 8.5, or sometimes an 8. So I have pretty medium-sized feet for most sizing purposes, so I probably should be doing the medium size. But I like the negative ease on these. They fit very comfortably, and socks do stretch. In my experience, they stretch as you wash them, they stretch as you wear them for the hand knit socks. And I've heard other podcasters say as well that socks will stretch over time. So I like the negative, I don't know how much negative ease is on these, but they fit snugly. but it's very comfortable, and they don't like slip around and slide around on my feet as I'm wearing them, even if I'm doing a bunch of housework in them. So I've liked that, but we'll see how it goes with me knitting a size medium on US 1 DPNs, because it should theoretically fit more correctly, but we'll see how I like it. I'll let you guys know, possibly next week, since I am knitting a pair of socks a week right now. So that's these guys. I don't think I had anything else really to say about them. But yeah, I liked those. Those were really fun. I think they're cute. I love the colors. So my husband, so Alex, I asked him if he wanted me to knit him socks, because I kind of went into like a sock mania after I knit my first pair of socks. Or actually about when I was done with the cuff of my first pair of socks, of my first sock, not even the pair, but the cuff of my first sock, I was like, I'm gonna knit every sock. It became very addicting, which I've kind of heard is a common thing, that people will be scared of socks for a really long time, and then they'll finally do them, and then they will love knitting socks. In Mina Phillip from the Knitting Expat podcast, in her earlier episodes, she kind of did this too, where she started knitting socks and then she knit a million socks. And then she did a sock knitting competition with another podcaster, and they both were knitting like 1 or 2 pairs of socks a day. And Mina does like long legs on her socks, but she's a quick knitter. Anyway, so I went into a sock craze. So I asked my husband, do you want me to knit you a pair of socks? Do you want me to knit you a pair of socks? And so he was like, of course I want you to knit me a pair of socks, sweet love. So I asked him what color he wanted his socks to be, and he said blurple. So I go, okay, so do you want me to knit you like blue and purple socks? And he says, I want fun colors. It's like, okay, so when I hear you say blurple, to me that sounds like you want blue and purple socks. And he said, I want blurple socks. And that's all I could get from him. My husband's kind of goofy. We both are kind of goofy. And so I was like, all right, well, the man says he wants blurple socks, so I knit him blurple socks. How blurple are these? If I was going to define blurple socks in the dictionary, then these, or something like this, that'd be it. You see these little flecks of blue in the purple here? Nailed it. So yeah, he wanted blurple socks, and blurple socks he received. Again, I knit these on 1.5s, DPNs. This was the size medium. And they fit his foot with a lot of negative ease. But they're very comfortable. They are stretching though on him. So I'm curious, his next pair, I'm gonna knit correctly, like with size 1, and I'll do a size large for him. So size 1 needles, size large for the pattern for the socks. And I'm wondering if they'll stretch less with the type of fabric that will create. So we'll see. But the yarn that I used for this, I don't actually know what type of yarn this is, and I dyed this yarn. So I went to a yarn dyeing thing with a local knitting group, and we just used Kool-Aid and microwaves, and it worked great. Yeah, but I hand dyed this yarn, both the blue and the purple. So the colorway is Kool-Aid, I guess. Grape Kool-Aid and blue raspberry Kool-Aid. Yeah, but I don't know what type of yarn they gave us to dye. But I think it's actually 100% merino. I think it's 100% merino. I think superwash. Yeah, I'm remembering from the description of the event, this was 100% superwash merino. And it's been wearing great so far. He wears these a lot. He basically doesn't wear, the only time he's not wearing them is when they become too dirty for him to wear, and he wants me to wash them, and then I hand wash them, and then I give them back to him, and then he wears them again for several days, because wool doesn't get super, you know, gross. Wool is a little bit of a self-cleaning fiber, so you can kind of wear it on repeat for a bit before it gets like, I should probably wash this. And he doesn't walk around the house tons. If he's at the house, he's in his office, so he's not walking around in them a whole lot. But anyway, so yeah, you can kind of see I was very happy with this for my first hand-dyed yarn that I hand-dyed. I don't know if you can kind of see there's some like, there's like a tonal, it's like a tonal blue, and then this is obviously variegated here. But yeah, so I was very happy with his blurple socks. And so is he really likes them, and he wears them a lot. So that is pleasing. All right, cool. So next pair, I'm gonna develop a pile there. I hope that they don't fall off. So my next pair of socks is I name my socks. This is actually a question that I was gonna ask you guys today. So I name my socks, not like, you know, Fred and George, but I name them like, this is my rainbow stripe. These are my rainbow stripe socks. These are my pink, my contrast socks. I've just been calling them my pink contrast socks. These are the blurple socks. These I call my frolic socks. And I call them my frolic socks. It's really bright. I'm gonna do this so that it's not like washing me out tons. Oh gosh, this is difficult. Okay, we got it. So I call these my frolic socks because these are Knit Pick Stroll sock yarn in the frolic colorway. So I wanted to try out the Knit Pick Stroll because I had just been hearing a lot of good stuff about it as a sock yarn. So I wanted to give it a try, and I really, really liked it. Again, I kind of used my same recipe that I used for my other sock. Yeah, same kind of recipe I've been using. It's based off of Crazy Sock Lady's vanilla sock tutorial and that pattern. So these are my frolic socks. So this is the frolic colorway in Knit Pick's Stroll sock yarn, and contrast heels and toes are Nanette Wake Studio. Again, this is a colorway from a club box, so I don't know what the colorway is called, but these are great. I don't remember the percentage for the Stroll. I think it's 25 superwash merino, or 75 superwash merino, 25% nylon. But these have been awesome. So these are my frolic socks, and I really like them. I like the Stroll yarn. I think that it's soft. It's not as soft as Nanette Wake Studio yarn, but that's because she has a very high merino, a superwash merino percentage in hers, and they're fluffy and gorgeous. But they're soft. They're definitely soft. I would say this is softer than the Unique sock yarn, and the Unique sock yarn was not rough. Like, it is soft too, but this is softer. I liked the Stroll sock yarn. So those are my frolic socks. And then these are my favorite socks so far. These are my fairy garden socks. I love these socks. They're so soft. They're so soft. These are knit out of Nanette Wake Studio yarn, and she is on Etsy, and it's just Nanette Wake Studio. I'll try to remember to link that in the description. But these are my fairy garden socks. The main body of the sock is in her pansy colorway, which I don't know if that's available anymore, but she puts out new colorways all the time. I love the speckles. I love this color. It's beautifully soft. Her sock yarn is typically 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon. And it's been wearing perfectly well. So the high merino percentage doesn't seem to be a problem. I do hand wash all my socks, but hasn't been a problem, it seems. There's so much dog. I think dog fur is just going to become part of the fiber content of all of my socks. It's so ridiculous. Does anybody else encounter this? Any other crafters who have animals? How do you have a solution for this? I don't know. Like, I suppose I could get like a scrolly, like one of those scrolly sticky things to pick up lint and stuff, or I guess I could use like duct. It seems like a lot of effort. I probably am just gonna have to live with it. Anyway, so fairy garden socks. These are lovely. I love them. This is, the toe is in her, one of her, again, is in a small pack I got for a monthly club thing that she does. She does do this cool thing where you can do a monthly subscription, but you purchase it from her Etsy shop every month. So you don't like sign up and you just get stuff every month and then you have to cancel it, or you have to remember to pause it, or like you actually go in and you purchase it every month. So it's not an automatic thing. And I think it's very cool. And she kind of gives you hints as to what sort of colorways it's going to be for that month. So she gives kind of like inspiration photos or a little description of like, so far that I've seen, it's kind of geographical in nature. So it's inspired by kind of like her hometown or somewhere she visited recently, things like that. It's very cool. I really liked it. And she has like a set of 5 minis, and then some like other little goodies and notions in there. So I'd recommend that. I liked it. It's been cool. I haven't done it every month, but I think I might do it for November, for my birthday. So we'll see. But yeah, I just love these. And then my heel is another yarn I dyed with Kool-Aid. So a little bit of a tonal green. But these are my favorite socks right now. I really love soft pink. I love pink, actually. But I love this kind of soft pink. And I think it's fun with these hand-dyed yarns. You can kind of see the differences between the two halves of the yarn. Or the two halves of the skein. So like this is a lot more heavily speckled, has a lot more green in it than this. And I just think that that's so fun. I don't need my 2 socks to match perfectly for my hand knit socks. I think that is part of the charm of them being handmade. And I think it makes it more interesting as I'm knitting them, is to see how each sock is different as I'm knitting them. It's like it's a different experience for each sock. So it keeps it interesting and fun. So my next pair of socks, this is taking a long time. I did not anticipate this taking this long. But my next pair of socks is, actually I want to show this one on here, is my Route 66 socks. Oh, well, that's the colorway. I call these my Woodsy Blue Jay socks because I just think of a woodsy blue jay with them when I see them. And I kind of thought of that like as I was knitting them. So these are my Woodsy Blue Jay socks. These are knit out of Patton's Croy sock in their Route 66 colorway. And then I added the contrast heels and toes, as I do. One of the reasons I do that is I like contrast heels and toes. I just aesthetically, it's fun to me. But also I can use a 50-gram skein of yarn for a pair of socks for me if I do contrasting heels and toes. So I can use scrap yarn or minis for my heels and toes, and so that way I can just buy 50-gram skeins of something instead of 100-gram skeins, and then have all the stuff leftover yarn that I then don't know what to do with. So if there's a yarn I love, then I don't mind doing that, because then I could do a scrappy project with that leftover yarn. But if I know I just want a pair of socks, I'm just gonna buy a 50-gram skein. Because I knit my cuffs pretty short. They're not like shorty socks, but I knit a pretty short cuff, and I don't have super big feet, and I like some good negative ease. So that system works really well for me. But yeah, this was super fun. This is like a sport weight. So I knit these on the 1.5s, and it gave a very thick, sturdy fabric. No, I knit these on size 2. I knit these on size 2, US 2s, because the yarn, I think, suggested like a 3 or a 4. And I was like, I'm not knitting socks on a 3 or a 4. So I used a 2, and it gave a very thick kind of sock. Size 2 needles, and then I did the size small for the pattern. And these are roomy. These are roomy on my feet. These don't really have much negative ease, if any. These are very roomy, kind of cozy socks. This yarn is not soft. In no universe is this yarn soft. This is my first time using Patton's Kroy sock yarn, so it might be that when I got it in the mail, the package looked not beat up, but it was not in pristine condition. So I don't know if I just got a weird skein or if it's usually not soft. If any of you guys have used Patton's Kroy sock yarn, feel free to comment and let me know. Is it normally softer? Because this is not soft yarn. I would never use this yarn for a garment or a scarf, maybe a hat. I would not use it for mittens. It's not soft. It's not bad on my feet, but it's not like snuggly soft yarn. It's not like highly rustic. Like, it doesn't like hurt. But it's not super soft. And my husband doesn't like it. Alex will not. He says, do not knit me socks with this yarn. Only if I get hand knit socks, I want them to be soft, like a cloud. So he's not getting Patton's Kroy socks, I guess. But I really liked, it was fun to knit with. It was super fast. I could have knit this pair of socks in a day. It was so fast. The stripes make it go fast. I love the jacquard kind of effect that happens with their self-striping yarn. I love that it makes this patterning. So it was really, really fun. I'll probably do more of these in the future just because it's so much fun to knit. But it's not soft. So if you don't like rougher textured yarns, then maybe don't use this. For my cuffs and toes, or for my heels and toes, I used, I've been using this for a lot of different projects lately. This is just from Hobby Lobby. It's Yarn Bee. Must be merino in the gold colorway. Splitty. I will say that this yarn does split. So if that bothers you, don't use that yarn. But otherwise, it's soft. I do like it. I don't think it's super wash. I think it's just, I think they just say merino on here. I don't think that they say super wash. Yeah, they just say 50% merino, 20% acrylic, 25% nylon. But I would say it's, pretty sturdy because it's 50% synthetic stuff. So it's probably going to be pretty sturdy. One of the reasons I wanted to try this, I liked the Route 66 colorway. I like these greens and the blues and the striped and the jacquard, and I liked this colorway. But another reason I wanted to try it was I wanted to experiment with machine washing. And I've heard that Patton's Kroy socks are very easy to wash in the washing machine. Some people even put them in the dryer, and they don't have problems with it. So I'm gonna try washing these in the washing machine when they get dirty enough to wash, and I'll let you guys know how that goes. I theoretically should be able to wash most of my socks in the washing machine because almost all of them are superwash merino. I think all of them so far are actually superwash, except for these heels and toes, but I think it'll still be okay. But I've just been hand washing them because I don't really want to risk it. And I kind of like hand washing them. It's kind of part of the fun for me a little bit. So yes, that's those. So last pair, this is taking a million years. So I hope that's okay with you guys. If you've stuck around this long, it's probably fine. But this is my last pair. So this is my finished one. Yeah, this is my finished object for the day, for the week, for the episode. And it's my last pair of socks. I just finished these yesterday, the day before. I only had one last episode, and now I have its friend. So these are my finished object for this week. And again, they match pretty nicely, but they're each slightly different. So I really like that. I think that that's fun. So with these socks, these are knit, again, Nanette Wake Studio yarn. I love her yarn. I discovered her just a few months ago, and I really, really love her stuff. I love her colors. I love how soft it is. She just makes beautiful, beautiful yarn. So this is her Hana colorway, Hana, Hana colorway, and I do think she still has some of this in on her Etsy shop. But it's got this kind of beautiful like spiral pooling that happens when you knit it up, and it's got little speckles in there. Yeah, just beautiful. I really love this. It was very fun colors. I knit these after my Woodsy Blue Jay socks because I needed very soft yarn and I needed fun bright colors that constantly changed after knitting like things, you know, like this pine green and brown and on kind of rough yarn. I needed something very bright and colorful and happy, and not that those aren't happy socks, but these are happy socks. So I really love these. And then I did the contrast heels and toes in mystery subscription yarn from her. And they're beautiful. And another thing that I did that was different on these was Crazy Sock Lady's tutorial, her pattern calls for 1x1 rib. So on the cuff. So I did 1x1 on all of them, but I decided I didn't really love that look and I really wanted to try 2x2. So I did 2x2 rib on this pair, and I do like it better, and I think you can tell the difference here. So I do like the 2x2 better than the 1x1. And I think I'm going to continue doing that for all of my socks here on out. Unless I do, like, I might try 2x1, but I definitely like that more. I think it looks neater. Yeah, I think it looks more neat. So that is a change that I made with these socks, and then I'm going to continue with, and I like it. It still flows easily, so it doesn't like mess up my flow with knitting. So yeah, I like these a lot. These are really fun. I don't have an example though to show, but you know, one thing to mention maybe, if you don't know how a skein of yarn is going to knit up, like if you are, you know, looking at these beautiful skeins online but you're not really sure what it looks like when you actually knit it up. So kind of like a tip for that is, if your skein of yarn, typically what I have found, if your skein of yarn has like one color on one end and another color on the other end, so it's like kind of half and half almost, then often you'll get like a spiral like this, like a spiral pooling that happens. So it kind of, you see it kind of spirals, like you can kind of tell here. This is like spiraling like up, and it's like wrapping up and around, and so it'll kind of spiral pool like that, which is almost a little bit stripey, which is kind of fun. Obviously it depends on what you're knitting, but with socks, something that's like a small tube, I found that it kind of does this like spiral type thing, and I would anticipate any kind of tube, it would probably do that. So we got through them. We got through the socks. So yeah, that's it for that. So next we will go into whips, and we'll just kind of do this quickly. So I'm gonna save one of them for next time, because this has already gone on quite quite long enough, so I'm gonna try to get through the rest of this pretty quickly. So this is my whip. This is my next pair of socks. Again, Nanette Wake Studio yarn. This is her, I think, hard candy or Christmas hard candy colorway, and it's beautiful. It is so beautiful, and it's lovely and soft, and I don't think, it is a Christmas colorway, I think, but it's not super Christmassy. So I will definitely wear these all year long. This is a joy to work with. Every stitch is full of happiness. I really love working with her yarn. But this is a really fun one. And I'm using the same yarn that I did on my frolic socks for my heels and toes on these. And again, I'm actually kind of following the pattern more, except for my 2x1 rib on my cuff, which I think is looking nice and neat. But I'm knitting a size medium on US 1 DPNs for this. So I'm doing it correctly. And we're gonna see what happens. I'm worried it'll be big, but I'm hoping that it won't be. So far it seems okay. It doesn't seem much bigger than the socks I've been knitting on my 1.5s in a size small. So yeah, so this is that's my little sock family that I am knitting right now. It makes me so happy. And it's in this is my sock project bag. I got this from an art store in Nashville, Tennessee, but I think you can find them online. I don't think this is like a mysterious small company. So you can kind of, hopefully you can see that. I'm trying to click it so you can see it, but it's Cavallini and Company, San Francisco. That's the company for this, but I got it at just an art shop. So this is not a project bag, but it is my sock project bag. And then my Notions 10 is the queen. So love Queen E. So she is my Notions 10. But yeah, that is my current work in progress, and I'm super excited about that. And my second work in progress for this episode is still my autumnal shawl. I have finished crocheting the edges, and I have started attaching them. I've started the seaming. So that's happening. It's gonna take a minute, but that's okay. I don't really mind. Seaming doesn't bother me. I know a lot of people don't like seaming. I guess they find it tedious, but I kind of find it soothing. So I don't really mind. And since I have I usually will have 3 projects going at a time. So I can kind of go from project to project. So if I don't want to be doing like tiny needles for my socks, and I want to be accomplishing a bigger project, then I can be seaming my shawl. And then I have a third project too that I will share next time. And hopefully I will probably have a pair of socks to show you. And hopefully I'll have that shawl finished too. I'm wanting my next episode to be an autumnal theme where I show some autumnal knits and talk about some fall stuff. So that's kind of my plan at the moment. So hopefully that will happen next time. And hopefully that shawl will be done so I can show it to you. So now for acquisitions, which includes an unboxing. So if you've stuck with me this far, or if you fast forwarded to now is our time. Before I do my unboxing, acquisitions. So Alex is going fishing in New York in a few weeks, and he requested that I make him a pair of socks and a pair of fingerless gloves for fishing because it's going to be cold and wet, and he wanted some hand knit wool things so that, you know, he can remember me, but then also so that he is warm. So he requested green and black for his colors, and I was so excited. This is the first time he's ever requested me to knit him anything, and I was just, words can't express how excited I was. I was like, I will make you anything. So I was pleased. I've been eyeing this colorway for a while. Look how beautiful this is. I'll bring it closer in just a moment. This is the Hawthorne fingering weight from Knit Picks in the Mount Tabor colorway. And it's beautiful. Just look at that. I love this. And I know I'll have some extra, and I'll get to use this in one of my scrappy projects for myself. I really love this yarn. It's really beautiful. It's not as soft as the Stroll. So this is the Hawthorne fingering. So the Hawthorne is not as soft as the Stroll yarn, but it's nice. And it's, yeah, it's nice. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee, because I can tell I'm starting to get a little, so I need some pep. This is a Lily Pulitzer mug. I know some people like share their tea mugs or what they're drinking and stuff. So this has like a mermaid that says XX Lily. This is not the highest quality, honestly. It's got a Little Mermaids on it, so you'll see. So in typical kind of Lily Pulitzer fashion. It's got little things hidden in the design. Very, very cute, but it's not the highest quality. I've had this for about a year, and the colored bit, that's kind of, I guess, is it screen printed or what would that be? But it's flaking off, and I've never put this in the dishwasher. I hand wash it. It's flaking off. The gold part is starting to, yeah, scratch off, come off, wear off. But it's cute, and I like it. And I like to have, especially my espresso. We have a fancy espresso machine in our home because my husband is bougie, and he wants only the best for his coffee. So we have a pretty nice espresso machine, which I am the very grateful and happy recipient of the fruits of that coffee machine. So no complaints here. Yeah, this is just some really cool, again, nice kind of bougie coffee beans, which let me know if you are into fun indie coffee, and I will maybe feature that on the episode, maybe next episode, if any of you guys are interested in knowing what kind of coffee we get. It's a smaller company. It's a family-owned kind of company. We're friends with some of the members of the family, and it's beautiful. It is beautiful, beautiful coffee. It's some of the best coffee I've ever had in my life. And so, yeah. And I had a lot of coffee while I lived in Italy. So, yeah, it's really good. I put a little bit of honey and some steamed half and half because I like decadence. So I'm probably not drinking this correctly, but who cares? It's delicious. So anyway, the other yarn, the actual reason we're here. This is, again, Hawthorne fingering in macadam. I don't know if I'm saying these names correctly, but I think it's macadam. So I don't know if it is focusing on that, but yeah. And it's a beautiful kind of tonal, sort of, I guess it's variegated black. It's a variegated black with some bluish gray. And I just thought this was gorgeous. I got both of these off of Amazon. Yeah, I just thought these were gorgeous. And so I'm really looking forward to using these together. He is requesting that the socks be the green, and that the hand warmers, fingerless gloves, be the black. But what I'll probably do is I'll probably do contrast heels and toes, maybe cuffs, heels, and toes. So the body of the socks will be the green, and I'll probably do contrast with the black. But I kind of want to hold the black double for the fingerless gloves, and do accents that are held double with the two of these, so it'll kind of mute the green a little bit. I think he thinks this is a little too like bright and exciting to be on his hands, but I disagree, especially if I hold it double with this. I think that'll tone it down and serve as a nice, interesting contrast to the just straight up variegated black. But we'll see. I'll play with it and see if he likes it. I have a few weeks before he heads out to go fish. So we'll see. I'll cast these on as soon as I'm done with my hard candy socks. So I love yarn. We all love yarn. That's why we're here. Unless you're a random like non-knitting, non-yarn person, but you're just hanging out with me because you're awesome. So you might not love yarn, but maybe you love watching podcasts. Who knows? So that was that acquisition. And now for our unboxing. This is my first unboxing. How many of these have I watched on YouTube? Wondering if ever there would be a day where I'd do my own. And that day is now. That time has come. So my first unboxing, unbagging? I haven't opened either of these packages yet. So I have 2 packages and I have not opened either yet. I cut the tops open with scissors just so you wouldn't have to watch me cutting into the scissors. But this first one, I'm not going to tell you. It'll be a mystery. You're going to guess what it is first. Take 2 seconds. Your time is up. Your guess is in. Oh, this is cute. Oh, this is cute. Did they put anything else in here other than a receipt? No, they just put a receipt. Oh, with a cute little... So this is a project bag by off of Etsy, and the company is Stitches from Sisters. And so it's these, I think these are 2 sisters, Barb and Donna, and they are near Nashville, Tennessee. And they make project bags and pouches and all sorts of other like very, very cute things on their shop on Etsy. And again, it's Stitches from Sisters is the name of their Etsy shop. And it's very well priced. Very, very well priced. I was amazed. And this is great quality. Look how cute. So here's their Stitches from Sisters thing. And look, they did a contrast bottom. This is it's very sturdy feeling. It's fully lined. These guys want these fish. They want them. This guy says, I am fish. I am catfish. Watch me swim. So cute. I love the little, I love the fish contrast fabric. This is very sweet. Very, very sweet. So cute. Here's the lining fabric. So it's got this very cute multicolored speckle lining fabric. This is very cute. I like this. So I will say that as a knitting project bag, this is probably not the ideal because the zipper doesn't come all the way over. So this doesn't want to stay really open on its own. You see it kind of closes. So if you're buying project bags and you see that sort of thing, maybe keep that in mind. That doesn't bother me because a lot of the time I take my stuff out of my project bag. I just put it in there to keep it organized, but I take my project out. And even if I had my yarn in there, but my project was out, the yarn can kind of it doesn't need much, yarn does not need much space to get out. So that's probably not that big of a problem, but just be aware, it doesn't open up super, super wide. It doesn't open up all the way. And then it doesn't stay open, really. It stays open a little bit, but so maybe just something to be mindful of, but that might not bother you. This is precious. This is very, very precious. I am just hugely, hugely into this, and it was very affordable. So if you want to support a small business and you want a new project bag, I don't think they have very large ones. This I think is the larger, I think this is their largest size maybe. And then they have some small pouches. So if you want a Notions pouch or something, very affordable. So if you want something handmade, support a small company, but you don't have tons of extra disposable income, check out their Etsy shop. And their shipping was affordable too on this. It only added a couple dollars or a few dollars to it. It smells like sewing and friendship. I love this. You'll notice a theme with my stuff. I have a lot of cat stuff. I really want a new cat. So very sad we don't have our cat anymore. I loved him very, very much. So we'll get a new one. I'll have a new little cat friend soon. But yes, so this is my little fish cat project bag. I've probably gone on about it enough, so I'm very happy about that. That's extremely exciting, and I'm so happy I got to open that with you. So my next unboxing, you know what this is. This is Nanette Wake Studio. So I am very, very excited though, because I've got a couple new types of yarn from her in this one. So I'm very excited about looking at this. So with all of her orders, she includes her business card, some stitch markers, some candy, and some tea. I have now drunk several bags of this tea. It's the Sunny Orange Ginger, and it's nice. I like it. It's not a super, I don't think it's very strongly flavored as a tea, so it's a very mild kind of tea. So if you want like a mild herbal kind of tea, the Sunny Orange Ginger from Stash is a good tea to try out. So I'll do this one first because yeah? Do I know what this is? Oh, I know what I ordered. I ordered something else from her that isn't here yet. So I know what this one is. Okay. Oh, this actually, oh, now I'm very excited. Okay, I'll calm myself. Maybe I shouldn't do live unboxings. I get too excited. Beauty. Look. These are her 50-gram skeins of sock yarn. Beautiful. It smells like sheep and happiness. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is her Bachelor Buttons colorway. Oh my gosh, it's too much. Okay. Fingering weight, 85 superwash merino, 15% nylon, 218 yards in 50 grams. And look at this gorgeousness. Look at this beauty. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy. And then this colorway I've been wanting for a while. This is her flax flower. And I'm gonna have to order some more of that because that makes me think of a Monet painting. Like irises on the water, or irises by the water. This is a Monet painting in a skein of yarn. This is gorgeousness. Oh my gosh. Could life get any better? I don't think it can. Okay. What else do I have? What have I done in my life to deserve such wonder and happiness? I don't think I've done enough good in my life to deserve this. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So same sock yarn. This is her Primrose colorway. Look at this beauty. That is just too beautiful. Oh my goodness gracious. And it's so soft. You guys. Okay. Can yarn make you cry? This I had been eyeing for several months and I finally got some. This is so soft and luxurious feeling. This is her lace weight, 74% baby Surrey alpaca, 26% silk, 50 grams, 328 yards. This is her Tiptoe into Fairyland colorway. Look at this sumptuous, luxurious gorgeousness. I feel like if you could feel through a screen just by looking, it feels just the way it looks. It feels like a luxurious cloud from a field of alpacas, happy Surrey alpacas frolicking in the grass, laughing in the sunshine. This smells, I guess it smells like alpacas. Certainly doesn't smell like sheep. Other people smell their yarn. I'm not weird. Just in case you were judging me. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Does everybody else, or does anybody else put their yarn on their face? I feel like you have so many sensory, you have so many nerve endings and so many like sensory like spots on your face that like putting like your yarn on your face just helps you experience it so much better. It's so beautiful. These skeins, these works of gorgeousness. I love Nanette Wake's studio, guys. I don't think I can express how much I love her stuff. I just am in raptures. So these guys go in my sock, go on my sock yarn shelf, fingering weight shelf, and your lace weight, so you'll go right here for now. Oh my goodness, I am so happy I could share that with you. So I know that we have got to move along because this episode is just so long. It's going to take 1 million in 2 years to upload to YouTube. So that's our acquisitions for this episode. Next, we will go into our mindfulness segment. So this will be pretty quick. I'm not going to do a very long mindfulness one for this week. Mostly because that was I've just spent 1 million years talking. But for our mindfulness segment for this week, so I'm gonna, I guess, do it on a screen for you with this sock. And so my thought for mindfulness for this episode is the concept of mindful pausing or intentional pausing. So, often in life, we're kind of like on autopilot. We, especially for things that we do all of the time or things that are very repetitive, it can be very easy to just autopilot through them. So, one of the things that I do a lot in my knitting that I think is one of the reasons why I'm not a very fast knitter, but I think it is something that lends a lot of joy and depth to my knitting experience, is I pause a lot while I knit. So in no way am I suggesting that you need to pause every single row, or that you need to do this every time you knit even, but I would just encourage you to maybe try this out every once in a while you're knitting. Or maybe even, set aside time to have a knitting session that is full of intentional mindful pausing. Or maybe you set a timer on your phone for maybe like 10 minutes for, every row, or every once in a while you'll intentionally pause. And there's so many different ways that you can practice this intentional mindful pausing, but I will demonstrate and just kind of talk through a little bit of how I tend to do it. So if you want to do this along with me, you can pause the video and grab a project. If you want to play this back later and do it along with me when you're knitting or crocheting or crafting, feel free. This pausing is not limited to knitting. So you could 100% do this with painting or woodworking or anything really, cooking. But Yeah, so let's practice it then just for a few minutes, and I'll just kind of walk through what I'm doing. So I will often start by looking at my project and looking at what I've done so far. And like with this, maybe I'll play with the ribbing on the cuff a little bit, notice the elasticity of the bounciness of the yarn. I'll feel not just the yarn and its softness, but if I run my thumbs over the fabric, I can feel every single stitch. I can even feel what each V feels like. I'll lay it out flat so I can see my sock as it is taking sock shape, and just kind of appreciate the sock shape that I've got so far. And I'll notice that spiral pooling again with my, well, actually this is not really spiral pooling, this is more striping. But I'll notice like the alternating colors. I'll notice maybe how each stitch is a different color. Every single one, slightly different. And then I'll take it all in together, see what each of those individual stitches look like all together. And I'll notice my knitting needles, their texture, how smooth they are, the color of the wood, the way the sun kind of reflects off part of the wood. And once I've kind of noticed all of that, I will begin. And again, I'm kind of appreciating how the inside looks different than the outside. I love the wrong side of stockinette stitch. I think it looks so neat. I love the feeling of that sliding of that needle into the first loop. And then as I'm knitting, noticing the tension. And I can feel yarn sliding over the needles, like a slight grippiness of wool on slick wood. I can feel it just a little bit. And if you don't usually watch yourself knitting, like if you usually knit looking like up, or you watch something while you're knitting, maybe look at your project while you're knitting it. Notice the color go by. And then as I get to the end of that first DPN, I pause. Maybe I like to stretch out the heel flap to see these stitches that are kind of hidden underneath here. And I just look at this section. This is the only section I've been working on, but I like to just kind of like admire that section for a moment, watching it grow, seeing what this new row looks like on top of the row below it. And I just turn to my next needle and I continue. If you knit in silence, you can hear your yarn moving across your needle. Maybe even stop in the middle before I've even gotten to the end of that needle to look at the space between these stitches, where you've got these little hidden ladders in between. And to notice while you're knitting, you can see those little ladders, but then, or when you pause, you can see them, but as soon as you start knitting again, those ladders get hidden behind your knit stitches. And again, I like to pause. Something I really like to do is I when I pause is when I stop knitting, it's scrunched up like this, but I really like to spread it out to its kind of natural, the way the fabric will lay naturally. I like to spread it out that way so that I can see more easily each new row that I add. And again, I look at how the new one looks in addition to its family. This beautiful, vibrant teal blue, almost like a peacock blue. How it looks as it joins all of its little stitch friends. And this is kind of what I like to do as I knit. And again, I don't do this every single time. Sometimes, especially if I'm trying to get a project done more quickly, like because it's on a timeline, I won't pause every single time I finish a DPN, because it take me a very long time to get anything finished, but I do this often. I pause a lot. I love the process of knitting. I have one little gray stitch. I have these little pink guys and these green guys, and then I have one little gray guy right here. And then last DPN on here. Oof, this little guy wants to be wily. I've completed a round. I'll lay it back out flat to see how much I've added on. Just one row, so it's not obvious right now. But if I do this every few rounds, I can watch my project grow. Beautiful colors. It makes me kind of think of stained glass. These might be my stained glass socks. I often like to put, especially with very variegated yarns, I like to look at the ball of yarn right next to the fabric I've made. Just a reminder of what it looked like before I got my hands on it. Well, I guess I wound the ball, but So all sorts of different ways you can do that, but it's just pausing. Maybe you pause to like mindfully stretch your fingers or roll your wrists or roll your neck or get your shoulders kind of back and not hunch. But I like mindfully pausing to observe and to really absorb what I'm working on and to really appreciate it. So that is our little mindfulness practice for today. You can do that again with anything: painting, cooking, sewing, forging, maybe. Just be safe. Forging involves like fire and very hot metal and such, so writing, you can do it with anything. But I think it helps us to be fully present in our lives, to just pause very intentionally. So, all right, that closes our mindfulness segment then for today. So on to our Q&A, and then we will wrap up. So I don't have any questions to answer this episode, so I don't have any questions to answer. But I have questions for you. So they're about sock knitting. So I'd be curious for you guys what your experience was with sock knitting, especially for your first pair of socks. Were you scared to knit socks for a long time? Were you scared of your first pair of socks, or did you just think, socks, I'm gonna knit those? So yeah, were you scared? What was your first sock story? And then, do you prefer DPNs or circular needles, like magic loop or something, for when you're knitting socks? Because I feel like people have very strong feelings about them one way or the other often. So I've never done circular needles for socks. All mine have been on DPNs so far. But I am certainly interested in trying circulars. So I'm curious, do you use DPNs or circulars? And then, do you knit your socks one at a time or two at a time? Because I've heard that there's something called second sock syndrome, where people knit the first sock and then they don't knit the second sock because they just don't want to knit another sock. I don't have that at all. I really, really like knitting my first sock, and then I get excited to knit my second sock because often I'm using hand-dyed yarns, so my second sock looks slightly different from the first, and I'm excited to see what it's going to look like. Or I just am happy. I just enjoyed the first one so much, I'm happy to do it again. And they don't take me super long to knit. Like, I knit a pair a week. So I knit 2 pairs the other week. So I don't have second sock syndrome at all. And I like doing them one at a time so I can be fully present with each sock. But I'm curious, what do you guys like to do? Do you like to do 2 at a time or 1 at a time? And then if you want to post a picture of your first pair of socks you ever knit to Instagram and tag me, or if you want to post it on our Ravelry group, the Ravelry group should probably just be the Mindful Knitter podcast group on Ravelry. And of course, if you want to find me on Ravelry, it's Mindful Knitter Pod, like podcast. So I'd be so interested to see your first pair of socks that you knit. So those are my questions for you. So feel free to comment down below on this video or comment on in the Ravelry group. So we will end here for today. This was a very long episode. I did not anticipate that. I had a lot more that I could have done today that I cut out, and I'm saving for next time because I just talk for a very long time when I start talking about yarn. So I'll end it here. Please, like, subscribe, comment, find me on Instagram, on Ravelry, say hello. I would love to make some new knitting or yarn or crafty, artsy friends. And let me know about the Inktober idea and what you think about that. I'll probably go ahead and start a group for that, or a thread for that, maybe on a Ravelry, and then I'll be posting it on Instagram every day for Inktober. So if you want to participate in that with me, I think that'd be so much fun. So yeah, thank you guys for joining me today. I had a lot of fun hanging out with you. Feel free to check out my last video, which was my first video. I suppose it was my first and last video, but that has other stuff on it, another project bag with cats on it. So if you haven't seen that video already, go ahead and check it out. But yes, okay, I'm actually gonna pause now. I'm excited to see you guys next time, and I hope that you have a good rest of your week. Bye.